The whole New Jersey, Philly, New York is like love.
And she shaking that thing like who's the ish with a look in the eye so devilish.
They sent me like about 8 demos, and I turned them down like every time until.
So, I mean, coming here, man, I was out there just like chilling, talking to the people.
Until it was like up, you know, to the standard or to the level that I thought he was good enough, you know, to like for me to sign him.
Ever wonder how a single voice in R&B could be everywhere one day and gone the next? This is the story of Sisqo, the man who lit up the world with Thong Song and then vanished from the limelight almost overnight. But if you think he just faded away, think again. The truth is deeper, sharper, and more shocking than you've ever heard. We're about to uncover the industry feuds, secret backroom deals, and personal struggles that helped push Sisqo out. Lawsuits drained his pockets, rumors wrecked his image, and powerful people did not want him around. If you're ready to see how fast the music world can turn on someone, keep watching. By the end of this video, you'll learn why Sisqo was blacklisted. Hard. And trust me, it's not the story you think you know. Let's start at the beginning. Sisqo was born Mark Andrews. He grew up in Baltimore with big dreams. His parents were regular folks, his dad worked as an electrician, and his mom was at the Social Security office. Life wasn't always easy, but it was filled with music. He sang in church choirs and performed in talent shows around his neighborhood. Everyone who heard him knew he had a gift. He could hit notes most of us can't even imagine. He also had a spark, a kind of boldness that made him stand out. In high school, he met 3 guys who shared his passion for music: Nokio, Woody, and jazz. Together, they formed the group Dru Hill, naming it after Dru Hill Park in Baltimore. Dru Hill started small. They performed in local clubs and bars, and people began to notice. They had a style that blended soulful vocals with R&B energy. Each member brought something special, but Sisqo shined the brightest. He had the dance moves, the flashy hair, and the voice that could hit those crazy high notes. Island Records took a chance on them in the mid-90s, and soon Dru Hill's first album came out. The tracks Tell Me and In My Bed started climbing charts, and fans fell in love with their smooth harmonies. A bigger break came with How Deep Is Your Love, which ended up on the Rush Hour soundtrack. Suddenly, Dru Hill was a household name. They were doing big shows, touring the country, and appearing on music shows everywhere. But even as the group rose, people noticed Sisqo. He wasn't just part of Dru Hill. He was a star on his own. His stage presence was next level. He dyed his hair silver, wore bold outfits, and jumped into dance breaks without fear. His style was loud, and it matched his voice. Industry insiders saw a gold mine. They approached Sisqo with a solo deal, and he jumped on it. The rest is history, right? Not exactly. Sisqo's first solo album, Unleash the Dragon, came out in 1999. It was a big hit, but one song stood out: Thong Song. It was catchy, it was wild, and it blew up. Radio stations couldn't get enough of it. The music video was all over TV. Everyone was talking about Sisqo. He was the bright-haired, high-energy singer who made a song about underwear and international smash. But behind the scenes, trouble was brewing. Sisqo wanted more control over his music. He hated the idea of being just another pop act. He wanted to bring in artists he knew from Baltimore, friends who rapped or sang but never got a shot. The record labels had other plans. They wanted Sisqo to fit into a neat pop R&B package. They wanted him to work with big producers and stay away from unknown acts. Sisqo argued he wanted to shine a light on his hometown. The labels rolled their eyes. They saw him as a problem. At first, it seemed small. A few canceled collaborations here, a delay there. But Sisqo didn't back down. He told interviewers that big labels crush creativity. He spoke out about how major players in the industry block new talent. People started calling him difficult. The more he talked, the more pushback he got from the people in charge. Soon he realized that the execs were pulling the plug on his deals. Projects got canceled, major opportunities vanished without warning. But that was only the tip of the iceberg. The bigger bomb was about to drop. Sisqo's biggest song, Thong Song, had a line that said, "Livin' la vida loca," referencing Ricky Martin's hit. It sounded fun and harmless, but the writer of Livin' la vida loca, Desmond Child, did not find it funny. He sued Sisqo for using that line without permission. In the end, the court ruled against Sisqo, and Child got a big chunk of the Thong Song royalties. This crushed Sisqo's finances. Normally, a massive hit like Thong Song can keep a singer afloat for years, paying for tours, new music videos, and future projects. But Cisco's profits were drained by legal fees and settlement costs. When other artists were investing their hit money in new endeavors, Sisqo was stuck in court battles. The music industry saw him as a liability. To make matters worse, the rumor mill kicked into high gear. Suddenly, stories began to fly. People said Sisqo was a diva and that he fought with label executives. They claimed he was impossible to work with. Others spread gossip about his private life, saying he fathered a child with a teenager. News of child support cases and arrests circulated. Tabloids had a field day. Instead of talking about his music, they focused on the scandals. Sisqo tried to defend himself, but the media had found its new favorite target. Then came more questions about his sexuality. Some people said his fashion choices proved he wasn't straight. Others pointed to his flamboyant stage outfits as a sign. Sisqo dismissed these rumors, but they stuck. In a business that often values a tough, hyper-masculine image for R&B male singers, Sisqo's style was used against him. Industry folk whispered about whether he was marketable or safe. While other artists were free to explore their style, Sisqo's flamboyance got him labeled as too risky. Sisqo's second solo album dropped, but it never soared the way Unleash the Dragon did. Listeners still liked him, but the industry support wasn't there. Promotions were weak, radio play was limited. People who wanted to collaborate found themselves pushed away by label heads. And even attempts to reunite Dru Hill didn't get the press or backing they might have had before. Fans noticed. They wondered what happened to Sisqo. One day he was the hottest thing around. The next, he was almost invisible. He went on some reality shows, Celebrity Big Brother and Celebrity Wife Swap, trying to stay in the public eye. But each appearance sparked more gossip. People focused on the mankini he wore or rumors about fights behind the scenes. They weren't talking about his voice or his new music. Still, Sisqo kept grinding. He released more tracks over the years, though they flew under the radar. He stayed busy with Dru Hill, performing at smaller venues and festivals. Loyal fans showed up to watch him belt out the hits. He might not have filled stadiums, but he didn't stop making music. He was still Sisqo, still singing, still hoping for another shot. Why did the industry leave him out? Some say it was just business. Once an artist is seen as hard to manage, labels move on to safer bets. Others say Sisqo spoke out too much about how the system exploits artists, so the system pushed back. And then there's the money problem. With the Thong Song lawsuit, Sisqo lost his main stream of income. Without that money, he struggled to keep up with the ever-changing world of music production and promotion. There's also the question, did Sisqo deserve some of the blame? Some critics think he made poor choices that harmed his brand. The lawsuits, the public fights, and the messy personal life gave people plenty to talk about. And in a world where image can mean everything, these scandals made the industry uneasy. It's one thing to have a wild persona on stage, but it's another to be tied up in lawsuits and controversies off stage. Sponsors get nervous. Radio stations might hesitate to give airtime. TV shows may not invite you on for interviews. But let's not pretend Sisqo is the first or the last artist to clash with the system. The music world has a history of pushing out people who don't play by its rules. Sisqo tried to put Baltimore artists on the map, but the labels wanted mainstream pop. He tried to speak out about unfair deals, and big companies fought back. He took risks with his fashion and performances, and the rumor mill shredded him. When you're at the top, everyone wants a piece of you. But when you step out of line, the system can tear you down. Another key moment in Sisqo's story is his second album, Return of Dragon. People thought it might match the energy of Unleash the Dragon, but it came out in 2001, right in the middle of his legal fights. The promotion felt rushed. The singles didn't get strong radio spins. Critics said it lacked the magic of his first album. Sisqo still had that voice, but the hype was gone. Fans were confused. They didn't know if he was canceled, blacklisted, or just stepping back on his own. Then Dru Hill tried to do a comeback. The group members had their own conflicts. Woody left, then came back. There were label issues. Sisqo tried to get the group more attention, but the industry seemed cold to them. They did release some music, but it didn't catch fire like the old days. Still, they toured for loyal fans, doing small venues and nostalgia shows. People loved hearing hits like In My Bed and How Deep Is Your Love, but new hits never materialized. Meanwhile, Sisqo appeared on different TV shows, one after another. He went on Keith Sweat's Platinum House, Celebrity Big Brother UK, Gone Country. He was trying to stay in the spotlight any way he could. Some fans felt he was on a downward spiral. But for Sisqo, it was a way to pay bills and remind people he was still around. Yet each reality show appearance came with new memes and tabloid headlines. The mainstream press kept painting him as a punchline. Fans who looked deeper saw a different picture. They saw a guy who never lost his talent. They watched him perform live and still hit those high notes. They saw him hustle to get new music out. They noticed he never completely vanished. he just wasn't on the big stage anymore? The truth was that his brand took too many hits. Labels weren't paying attention. TV networks only offered reality stunts. And the public, bombarded with new stars every day, mostly forgot. But there's something powerful about nostalgia. People who grew up with Cisco remember the thrill of Thong Song. They remember Dru Hill's smooth jams. Some even say Cisco paved the way for flashier male R&B performers later on. That platinum hair and fearless style showed others they could push boundaries too. When you watch modern R&B stars like Chris Brown, or even folks in K-pop, you can see hints of Cisco's showmanship. He proved that male singers could dance, belt out notes, and wear something wild, all while owning the stage. Now, let's address that single lyric that cost him millions. The "Livin' La Vida Loca" reference might have seemed harmless, but it was a crucial misstep. Desmond Child wrote the original line for Ricky Martin, and that phrase was protected. Sisqo or his team should have cleared it before using it in the chorus. Even a few words can trigger a big legal problem. Because Thong Song was so huge, Child was able to claim a large percentage of its royalties. That meant Cisco lost control over the very song that made him a star. It funded Child's pockets instead of Cisco's next album or marketing efforts. Many artists have had lawsuits over samples or lyrics, but Cisco's case was especially harsh because Thong Song was the driving force of his success. Once he lost that revenue, many doors shut. Labels that might have advanced him money for new projects didn't see a secure return. And the longer his legal battles dragged on, the more he got labeled as trouble. These suits can drain an artist's time, money, and energy. By the time it was all settled, the public had moved on. As for Cisco's personal life, the child support drama was front-page gossip in hip-hop and R&B circles. Being arrested for unpaid child support is a big story on its own. The rumor that the mother was a teenager at the time made it even more explosive, whether it was fully true or not. No matter how much Cisco denied or explained, the damage was done. In the court of public opinion, scandal tends to overshadow facts. People love juicy gossip, and Cisco gave them plenty to talk about. The music industry is a giant machine. It elevates some people to stardom and leaves others by the curb. Cisco wasn't an easy fit. He was loud, flashy, and honest about what he saw as unfair. He didn't want to keep quiet about behind-the-scenes politics. If you cross the wrong gatekeepers, you might find your career on hold. Cisco found that out the hard way. By the time he tried to correct the course, it was too late. Fans had moved on to new R&B stars, and the machine had replaced him. You might wonder, could Cisco ever make a real comeback? It's possible. Social media has changed the game. People can go viral on TikTok or Instagram. Old hits sometimes blow up again when a new generation rediscovers them. Thong Song could resurface in memes or dance challenges. If that happens, Cisco might get another chance to show what he can do. He might even release new music that catches fire. Stranger things have happened in pop culture, but the question is whether the industry is ready to forgive and forget, or if Cisco even cares about playing by those rules anymore. Right now, Cisco still performs. Sometimes he shows up on talk shows or does special appearances. He's active with Dru Hill, and they have fans who still come out to support. If you see them live, you'll see Cisco is still that same guy who can dance and hit notes many singers can't. He might not be topping the charts, but he's not silent. People who follow him on social media see he's proud of his music and still invests in making new songs. His legacy is also part of R&B history. Dru Hill had a run of hits that shaped the 90s sound. Cisco's style and voice left a mark on the genre. Thong Song became a cultural touchstone, whether people loved it or mocked it. Many who grew up in that era remember how massive it was. Even if you didn't listen to R&B, you knew the song. It broke down walls and made Cisco a household name. That's not a small feat. So was he blacklisted unfairly? Some say yes. He was a victim of a system that hates independence. Others say he shot himself in the foot by refusing to play along, stirring up controversies and mismanaging his finances. Still, others point to the harshness of the music business, where if you slip, they'll find someone else to take your spot. No one can deny that Cisco's fall was fast. One minute, he was on top of the charts, the next, he was a cautionary tale for new artists. For me, I see a bit of both. Cisco had huge talent and big dreams. He wanted to break molds and uplift his hometown. That's admirable. But he also made mistakes, got involved in messy feuds, and had a big lawsuit that drained him. He spoke out when he might have stayed quiet, but that's who he is. The music industry can be unforgiving if you don't follow its unwritten rules. And if you lose your main source of funding from your biggest hit, it's tough to keep momentum. The real shock is how quickly the music world forgot Cisco's achievements. From multi-platinum success to getting near-zero radio play in just a few years, it's a steep drop. But if you pay attention, he hasn't vanished. He's still around, still fighting. And in a world where old hits can suddenly trend again, you never know if he might get a second or third wind. Nostalgia is a powerful thing. So is raw talent. So what does this mean for you, the viewer? It's a reminder that fame can be fragile. The music business might celebrate you today, then blacklist you tomorrow. But it's also a story of resilience. Sisqo, despite the setbacks, never stopped. He's still performing, still recording, still trying to make his mark. If you think he deserves another chance, check out his recent work. Go see Dru Hill live. Show the industry that fans haven't forgotten. Maybe you think Sisqo is his own worst enemy. Maybe you think the labels are at fault. Either way, the truth is that the man who gave us Thong Song was more than a one-hit wonder. He was a creative force who dared to do things his own way. And in an industry that prefers compliance, he was bound to clash with the powers that be. The result was a blacklist that seemed to erase him from the mainstream. But can you really erase a legacy? When a voice is that distinct and a song is that big, can it ever fully go away? That's up for debate. Thong Song still gets played at parties. People still do covers. Pop culture references it. Social media loves to dig up classic clips and poke fun at the Y2K days. Sisqo's brand of showmanship stands out even now. Younger audiences might see him as a quirky figure from the past, but they still recognize that hook when it comes on. Industry blacklists can keep someone off radio playlists and major label rosters, but they can't steal the connection fans have with an artist's music. Sisqo's loyal supporters never forgot him. They kept following his journey, attending his shows, and streaming his new songs. That support might not be as large as at his peak, but it's real. It's what kept him going. And with every new project he puts out, he hopes to reach not just the old fans, but a fresh crowd as well. If you're watching this and want more deep dives into artists who seem to vanish, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're here to pull back the curtain and show you what really goes on behind the scenes. Leave a comment. Do you think Sisqo was treated unfairly? Did the industry sabotage him? Or did his own choices lead to his fall? It's a story with many layers, and we want to hear what you think. Share your memories of first hearing Thong Song or seeing Dru Hill in concert. Did you try to mimic those dance moves? Were you shocked by how quickly he left the top of the charts? Also, if you have suggestions for future videos or artists you want us to uncover, drop them in the comments. We'll keep digging to bring you the full truth. Fame can look glamorous, but the path to the top is full of pitfalls, gatekeepers, and hidden dangers. Sisqo's story is one big cautionary tale. It's also a testament to creativity and resilience. Despite every hurdle, he still stands on stage and belts out those notes. He still has that fire. Some insiders say a Dru Hill reunion album could be in the works, with Sisqo at the forefront. Others hint that Sisqo's been quietly recording new solo music and waiting for the right moment to release it. If that's true, we could see a big return. The industry has changed since the early 2000s. Now, independent artists can use streaming platforms and social media to bypass some of those old-school gatekeepers. That might be exactly what Sisqo needs. If he can catch a viral moment, the door might open again. But the question remains, will the same people who shut him out allow him back in, or will he even ask for their help? Sisqo might decide that he doesn't need major labels if he has direct support from fans. That's a choice modern artists have. We see it happening all the time. Plenty of musicians find success without signing with big labels. They cultivate a loyal online fan base, book their own tours, and keep creative control. Maybe Sisqo will take this path. So, as we wrap up, let's remember the key points of Sisqo's fall from grace. It wasn't just one thing. It was a mix of a brutal lawsuit, personal drama, rumors, and an industry that didn't like his independence. He spoke out about the shady side of record deals. He tried to put new talent on. He had a flashy style that made some label execs uneasy. And when he lost the big money from Thong Song, his comeback became much harder to finance. All these things led to a perfect storm that ended with Sisqo getting blacklisted. Yet the story isn't over. Sisqo's still here, still performing, and still has a fan base that loves him. Maybe we'll see him bounce back in a big way. Maybe not. Either way, the next time you hear a Thong Song at a party or see an old Dru Hill video, remember that behind the catchy tunes was a real person fighting battles most of us never saw. The music industry can build you up and tear you down, but true talent never fully fades. If this deep dive left you wanting more, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We have plenty more stories in the pipeline. From artists who got dropped for the smallest misstep to those who fought the system and won, we're here to give you the real story behind the headlines. Tell us your thoughts on Sisqo in the comments. Do you think he can still make a comeback? Have you streamed any of his newer songs? Let's keep the conversation going. Stay tuned for more music industry exposes and shocking truths. We'll see you in the next one. And who knows, maybe the next time you hear that high note Sisqo does so well, you'll realize that some sparks can't be snuffed out. no matter how hard the system tries.